Is your adult child not talking to you anymore? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about when your adult child isn't speaking to you anymore, what's going on for them, and some key things about grieving. Hi, I'm Marie Morin. I'm a therapist and a wellness coach. Let's get started. When an adult child decides to cut off, it's extremely grueling, not only for the parent, but also for the adult child. Estrangement is very complicated. It's not like there's just one thing going on. When an adult child cuts off, it could be a monumental event that happens, a volcanic event, but it didn't just start with that. It started a long time ago, and your adult child does not make this decision lightly. They've thought about it a lot. They cut off because being with you is extremely uncomfortable and it's unsafe. What that really means is that when they're around you, there's a problem for them. So if there has been any communication from your adult child about what has happened, what's been going on for them, what they feel about you, it's a good idea to be paying attention. Sometimes adult children tell their parents that they're toxic. Toxic behaviors are not just a once-off thing. Toxic behaviors are consistent. They include things like being very controlling, being disrespectful of their boundaries, having angry outbursts. They may have told you that you have been discouraging, that you've been highly critical of them. This creates an entire environment of harm for them. This is why they feel unsafe. If they've told you that your behaviors are toxic, maybe it's included narcissistic behaviors, like being extremely self-centered, not considering their feelings, being dismissive of their opinions, being dismissive of their needs, and not respecting boundaries. This disregard of their needs can be very humiliating for them. It can also include where they feel that you have questioned their sanity by the things that you say to them. Now, toxic and abusive behaviors are not the only thing. Narcissism isn't the only claim. You're going to want to watch my video, Estranged Adult Children, Why They Cut Off. There's part 1 and 2, and it discusses some other key reasons why adult children cut off. The first thing we need to remember is the decision for an adult child to say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I want nothing to do with you, didn't come lightly. It was done out of a need to separate because of a sense of harm, that being around you is extremely difficult. Now, this may include absolutely zero contact. Sometimes there is minimal contact. There might be some emailing, maybe short, curt responses. However, back to the idea of their need to separate and how they came to this conclusion. They didn't just fly off the handle one day, even if it did happen in a volcanic event, and say, I don't want to see you anymore. It's been on their mind, and the decision to cut off has been grueling for them as well. The second thing you want to understand about adult children is that they want a parent. They want parents that model parenting behaviors that fit the idea of them being respected and treated as adults. When this doesn't happen, it's heartbreaking for them. It's extremely difficult for an adult child to be in a relationship with a parent who doesn't respect them as an adult. We know from the research that adult children cut off to preserve their well-being. It's become so unmanageable to be around their parent that they leave because they must. And so part of resolving and perhaps getting to a place where there's a reconciliation involves the idea that the parent has changed and that the way that they treat their adult child fits what the adult child is needing. So if your kid has told you that you're controlling, you're not minding your business, you're stepping over boundaries, these are very critical things to remember. They don't just cut off for no reason. There's a problem in the relationship. Another very important thing is to remember that adult children, in addition to respect, want to be validated. If they say they feel like you have been a certain way, you may not agree. However, validating their experience is absolutely critical for them to feel like you're hearing them and like you're actually listening to what they're saying. Often, when someone tells us something that we don't like or agree with, we can present a posture of defensiveness, and there's no validation when we're being defensive. So part of this whole idea of changing that adult children want to see is that we're able to say, I get what you're saying. You may not agree with them, but stepping back for a moment and seeing it from their perspective is essential for them to see that you understand and get what they're trying to tell you. The fourth thing you want to remember is that grieving is a part of estrangement. There's no way out of it. When your adult child has told you they don't want to talk to you anymore, or they haven't responded to anything you say, naturally you have feelings of grief. One of the feelings is shock. You could be completely dumbfounded, confounded. You could be in a state of, what? I can't believe this. And it would be normal for you to feel this way. Grieving does not happen in steps, like one thing after another. The stages of grief can come in waves. And so you can feel shock and another feeling such as anger or guilt, and then go back to shock or denial. And this is how grieving operates. We get to a place, hopefully, where we're accepting of the situation and the condition. And we also recognize that we cannot change what is going on. Differing from when a child actually passes away, the idea that your child has decided, they made a choice to cut off from you, can be very, very heartbreaking. And so grieving this sense of shock can really take hold of you. Another normal experience within the stages of grief is sadness and depression. Naturally, to know that your adult child has chosen not to see you anymore, you can feel deep sadness, very, very profound sadness, and extended sadness can evolve into a state of depression where there's hopelessness going on. It's very, very difficult. We tend to pull away from others when we're sad, and it can create even more loneliness and a sense of isolation, wanting to be away from everyone, compounds these feelings of sadness and loneliness experienced in grief. One thing as you struggle through the stages of grief and you're feeling very sad and possibly depressed is that research tells us is that individuals that are estranged tend to soften as they age. This means that they open up more to the possibility of resuming and reconciling with their family members or parent. Another facet of grief, one of the stages, is guilt. So many people I speak with talk about feeling guilty about what they did, what they didn't do, what they said, what they didn't say, actions that might have happened. Maybe there was a divorce and it was brutal on the children. But guilt is something that can consume one. There could be a lot of ruminating, a lot of thinking all about these things, and it can be very problematic. One of the things that can help in guilt is recognizing that you did the best you could where you were at the time. In cases where an adult child perceives and states that they felt that there was toxic behaviors or abusive behaviors, narcissistic behaviors, parents that feel guilt for these behaviors towards their adult child, this remorse can be used within yourself to acknowledge and take responsibility for these actions towards your adult child. Parents that did the best they could and had moments where they lost control. These things happen. No parent is perfect. So we have somewhat of a differing of perceptions. And this is where it gets very, very complicated for reconciliation. However, key to reconciliation is the idea where we're willing to validate the other person's experiences. As in all the feelings associated with grief, anger is also normal. You may be feeling an enormous amount of anger. You may have waves of anger and guilt and shock and denial, and this sense of overwhelm about the condition with your adult child. Anger is a normal feeling, and this is part of the grieving experience. Anxiety and fear can also be a part of the grieving experience. Naturally, your mind may be going to places like, will I ever talk to my adult child again? Will they ever want to see me? Will the relationship ever get better? And it's normal to have a degree of anxiety and fear whether these things will occur. Having feelings of anxiety about when you will resume some type of contact with your adult child is very normal. We need to remember that their experience needs to be validated. Even if they don't talk to you, validating in your head, understanding that this is their perception is extremely important. Watch my video, How to Cope When Your Adult Child Won't Talk to You. I go into a deeper dive of what to do. Estrangement is very complicated and heartbreaking. I hear from a lot of people. You tell me how much it's breaking your heart that your adult child won't talk to you. We don't know when they will or how to resolve this quickly. And of course, if you're anxious about it, you want it to go away. You want to see your adult child. This is normal. So there's a couple of things that's really important for you to do. You must get support. You have to get help. You have to have somebody in your corner guide you. You have to be taking care of yourself, doing things like learning how to manage the physical sensations of stress, learning how to get yourself calm again, learning how to quiet what's going on in your head so that you're not so troubled by it and not sleeping or not eating well. You also want to be around others that love and value you. You don't want to go down with the ship. Doing these things as well as being informed. Watch other videos, find out what these professionals are saying. I have a resource list in the description box below. You want to access that, get some of these excellent books. You can contact me at moreandholistictherapy@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know what's up for you, how you're doing. I offer private coaching specifically for parents and family members that are estranged and for adult children. I've helped people to get through this very challenging condition. Please hit the like, and I'll see you in the next video. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this video.